All right, Cloud9 going to start off banning away that Yuumi. Sejuani banned out by Fnatic. The desk mentioned how North America came in looking for these like Misfortune, Fiora, Sejuani type of picks. Fnatic are going to say, okay, no comfort there. There's the Azir banned away. You called it out. You can't be letting them have that, especially with that blue side first pick. Varus and Aatrox taken off the table by Fnatic.
Interested to see the Varus ban. I think Varus is yet to pick up a win here at Worlds, and it was I believe 100 Thieves who pulled out the Varus that was actually finding success on it, or EG. So it's other NA teams are actually playing the Varus, but C9 yet to play it here at Worlds. We've seen Berserkers, MF, Aphelios, and Tristana. What's the last ban here for C9? Maokai is another champ I think of when I think of Razork and Flexible for Fnatic, but they're going to leave that one open. They could snatch that. I wonder if C9 has a plan.
C9 has banned Caitlyn every game they have played so far here. They really do not want to go against this champion. I also would place Maokai on a higher priority. I just feel like he's been incredible all over the Rift, throughout play-ins, throughout the main stage here, but it's Victor, first pick here for Humanoid for Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic telling us a story here. When Azir is banned, Victor Prio goes through the roof. They really want to control mage mid with good scaling, good wave clear. Now it's on C9. How do you respond to this? A LeBlanc lane could work. Looks like they're actually going to first rotate an Orin, so taking Fudge off of the carries. We've only seen him on Fiora and Jack so far this tournament, but now it looks like they're just going for scaling team fights.
And you know what? I like this a lot, especially up against Fnatic, who Upset has just been so big for. If you pick a top laner that you've got to focus resources into, you're just giving Fnatic a free ticket for Upset to carry the game.
And what C9 have done here is they've targeted Fnatic in a sense where Wunder's only played Ornn and Aatrox. They've taken both away at Worlds. And Humanoid's only played Azir, so they've taken that away. So they've put Fnatic on champs that we haven't seen just yet in the group stage. There's the Aphelios locked in for Upset. C9 could pick their jungler up here. Something like a Trundle would work really well, unless they want to pick up Berserker's AD instead of, you know, dropping bot lane into 4-5.
But every time I see it, man, that Maokai, it's just such a power pick right now. You know Fnatic are happy to get their hands on that, especially with all the CC he offers, combined with Victor, who loves people to be locked down for the Chaos Storm for the second half of the laser. This combo is very scary, and there it is, the Trundle you're talking about, to sap some of those tank stats.
So they've sacrificed their bot lane a little bit here, C9. I don't think they'll struggle to find AD carries. You know, you can pick up things like Tristana here on 4, a Kaisa. I think they will be okay in finding a marksman. It's just denying supports here from Fnatic. I think Renata ban would be great here if they don't want to play it. Kalista is still up as well if they want to play really aggressive on that bot side. And let's not forget that Maokai is a flex, so they're not really sure if the Maokai is going against Yorn. That's why they banned away the Graves. Fnatic now taking away some aggressive playmaking AD carries.
Alrighty, no Lucian, no Graves here in the second half. Does Cloud9 want to focus a similar type of champion here for the third ban in the second half? Remember, they don't really have a whole lot of flexibility in what they've drafted so far. You're talking about the flex of the Maokai there over on Fnatic's side. Cloud9, we pretty much know what they're going to be going for. They're really taking their time on this one. Okay, Thresh will be their last ban.
So, knowing Fnatic as well as I do, and considering their game against EDG where Flandre picked the Gragas into Ornn, I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic just go Gragas Renata here on 4-5. That would round out their comp to something that they would feel really comfortable with. But do they ban Kalista is the question, or Tristana? Do they try to take away a little bit of these aggressive AD carries and make bot lane a little bit more volatile? They've got the last ban coming in, and they've taken away the Kalista. So that does leave Tristana up for Berserker, Kaisa up. I think counter-picking support makes the most sense. If they pick Renata, Nautilus would be a good R5.
Yep, we're expecting an AD carry here. Cloud9, will they lock that one in? That's your hyper carry angle right there. Trundle and Ornn on the front line.
Oh yeah.
Jinx being the firepower from behind the scenes.
Stock standards, front to back scaling. Looks like that's going to be C9's plan. So I think they'll pick something like Tom Kench up on 5 here just to make sure the Jinx is safe, depending on what Fnatic blind pick here on support.
I mean, we've got 2 immobile, hyper-scaling AD carries going head-to-head in this bottom lane, man.
Yep.
This one's going to go off. I can already feel it. Deep down in my veins, deep down in my blood, there is going to be some action around the bottom lane here in this game.
Yeah, front-to-back positioning is going to be absolutely everything. So Jarvan might be getting picked up here, putting the Maokai top. So this is the first time we will see Wunder on the Maokai. Razork had a fantastic success with the champion. So Fnatic being a little bit more aggressive here. They're saying we could pick Renata Gragas and play front-to-back, but we're going to pick Jarvan to shut down your immobile carries right now. How aggressive does Hilly want to get with this support blind pick? They're playing in a Aphelios lane, so a lot of enchanters work well with him, melee supports, but you can pull something out the box like a Pike if you really want to play for early game towards bot side with that Jarvan as well.
How fast and loose is it going to be, Fnatic? Or we'll get the Soraka instead. Okay.
The beauty of the Soraka is Rogue brought it out in the semis and the finals and in the LEC domestically. And the Jarvan ult is the same size, width-wise, as the Soraka E. So you can silence someone in the Cataclysm to stop them from being able to get out of it with their flash, right? So that might be the idea here as well. Attributes a lot to front to back, helps out in that sense. Now does C9 pick up a range support here? Tom Kench and engage support to help be a little bit more aggressive on the spot side to help out the Trundle, but it's going to be Jinx Lulu.
Okay.
Enchanter's bot, tanks top. I don't think I need to describe how these comps work because it's very front to back.
It's very basic League of Legends here. There's nothing super tricky. It's team fight versus team fight.
And I think this is just a good adaptation from C9. They've tried carries top, they've tried the LeBlanc mids, they've tried the MF and the engage supports. None of it's really been working to the sense where they want to repeat it and try it again, but they've just thrown everything out the window and say, let's put Fudge on a tank, let's put Jensen on a scaling mage and he's comfortable on Berserker and Sven on a hyper carry bot, and Blabber can bridge us from the early to the mid to late game and we'll just play for team fights.
And I'm really liking this for Cloud9. The first Lulu we've seen here at Worlds so far. I saw some people tweeting about like the nerfs being pretty extreme. I think it was Dom tweeting about there's no way that these nerfs have completely taken this champion out of viability. C9's ready to bring it back now. I know a lot of fans are going to be happy to see them picking something that is easier to execute on. And now, I mean, there's so much pressure, man, on Upset, on Berserker both, to have those carry performances and be the cannon their teams have drafted around.
Yeah, the way they dissect the fights and position to shred through the front line will be very important. But it's C9, its backs against the wall. This is almost a must-win for them. I think it is a must-win for them to stay in this group stage. You don't want to go home on the first game, but if they can win here and pull off that 3-0, then the miracle run, the week 2 NA could be alive. It'll be the first time we see it. Normally it's week 1 NA that's really shining, and then week 2 is more so EU and LCK as they adapt to the tournament meta. But NA yet to pick up a win, but I really like what they've drafted here.
Alrighty, let's do it. Rock and roll. NA versus EU taking the stage to kick us off in the second week of groups as the players are making their way out of the base. A reminder, Prime Gaming is giving away 150,000. That's right, 150 and 3 zeros to several lucky fans every single day of Worlds. 150 grand in RP. Head over to primegamingworlds22.com to enter and make sure to put in today's secret code to get some bonus entries. But as we go ahead and get the players heading out of the rift, you can see runes, everything here on your screen right now. 2 teleports on each side. They're in the solo lanes. No spell books to change around, have any sort of surprises there. Ghost for Upset on the Aphelios for a little bit of extra mobility versus Berserker just running the standard heal here on the Jinx.
Yeah, no Ignite in bot side for Fnatic, so kill pressure a little bit less. I don't think they'll try to take those 2v2s. They're probably just going to look to scale, as will 8 players in this game. The only 2 that won't really be scaling very well is the junglers, Trundle and Jarvan, and a lot of immobile carries on the map. Pillar and Jarvan, EQ Flash, good lockdown. Looks like Fnatic walking into the bot side river there, just placing a ward. I think they're just covering off Humanoid for any kind of Blabber early gank shenanigans. You can see he's got a ward on the top side entrance of the Raptors. Ward in the bot side river, covers off both angles to deny any early ganks mid, because losing your flash early as a mage just means you have to give up the push.
Never feels good to not have control over that mid wave. Fudge is just going to be waiting here in the brush for Wunder to step up. Wunder attacks second, so he heals a little bit with the sap magic. Just slapping each other around here. Good old-fashioned tank fight, Kadril.
Yeah, 2 wet noodles just going at it. You'll have to see it. Neither of them really have any kill pressure on the other, but the thing is, if they hit you, you hit them. That's basically how top lane works. Otherwise, you just get pushed in and lose. A little bit of trading in bot. I think we won't see too much kill pressure on either side lane, but it's on the junglers. Razork and Blabber starting top side, both padding towards the bot side. I say that, but Fudge.
They are not stopping. It is just auto attack versus auto attack. A single spell for either one of them. It'll be Fudge hitting level 2 first. Throws out that pillar, but not really anything to follow it up with, as Wunder's just staying back. He's fine. The nice part about being a tank, it doesn't matter as much if you fall a couple of minions behind. You're still always useful. You've always got that team fight power. Both these guys are going to be huge in these fights later on with their ultis. Massive impact.
You're a very low econ, just frontline soak up the damage sponge, right? So doesn't really matter how far behind you are to an extent, but that's an angry Ornn every time we look at top lane. Fudge getting the better hand of Wunder. And both junglers finishing their second buff here, Blabber and Razork respectively. Sven has the Ignite, can get a little bit aggressive here, but he's going to back off after his combo.
Yep, Berserker steps up after Sven is already retreating, just wants to get a little bit of poke there. Hilly's down to 200 HP, but still healing up there with the potion, not super worried about it. Blabber and Razork going to find each other here as Blabber steps up, throws out the frozen domain, threatening to steal. The silence, the root. Berserker with a flash away early here in bottom lane 2v2.
Yeah, that's 3 summoners there blown from C9. Only Sven's flash is up, so Razork is just getting attracted straight to that bot lane like a magnet. He sees a window and he wants to look for it. The silence doing so much work there to then land the root afterwards. No ignite for the Fnatic bot lane, but they're forced to use their heal, and they're going to look to push out this wave with the Infernum gun.
Nicely done there, and like we said at the start, Berserker, he's running heal. It's not like this is a teleport marksman, so he's gonna have to walk all the way back down as Fnatic is getting this wave crashed in. Very nice early game here in the lane so far for the Fnatic duo.
Yeah, Razork and Blabber playing a little bit of hide and seek. Razork spots him out with a spear, puts the pink ward on the blue buff brush, just to give it a little bit of information. And there's another ward as well on the entrance too, so lots of bot side vision here from Razork. Of course, didn't take the refillable, started with a health potion and a pink. He's gonna go double longsword out of base and go towards the top side crab here by the looks of it. Blabber still yet to base, but it looks like he wants the match. But despite those early flashes in bot, a bit of a quiet game as expected so far. I think we'll start to see a little bit more action in around 3 or 4 minutes when this Herald spawns.
Yeah, the Herald will be spawning. We'll have ultimates available on solo laners. Big damage potential there out of both of them in mid. We already talked about the team fight power of the top laner ultis as well. Once those go buttons are green, I'm with you. I think that's when we're going to start seeing things explode a little bit more, as the junglers are now both back out onto the map. Blabber taking that shop, as you said, after Razork got his, just working towards a little bit of baseline stats. Nobody doing anything too crazy just yet. As you can see, Jensen about to crash this mid lane wave, but it doesn't look like C9 will be able to get a whole lot out.
Yeah, Humanoid still yet to base. Jensen's already base and TP'd back, so he probably wants to catch his wave and recall. And with Razork pathing bot, the main window for Fnatic is bot now because of the no flash onto Berserker. But then it's also the window for C9 because Blabber will want to counter gank if they overextend, and he will want to cover them on certain wave states when it's pushing out. So I think both junglers, as expected, still focusing on towards this bot side. Top lane's just a little bit of a farm fest.
Yep.
When they're 6, I think what we can see from top lane is roams from top to mid to look for these mages, but this bot side 3v3 will be everything. Pink ward in the bush, C9 have no vision, but here's the counter gank from Blabber. Will Fnatic overextend and take the bait? I think they just saw him.
Yep, they saw Blabber, just a glimpse of him. A flick there for a second. I believe he showed up. He's still waiting around, seeing if maybe there's anything to find. Razork still standing on top of his own control ward. He knows he's not seen. Sven walking up, but Razork, he's patient. He's calculating. He knows Berserker is the target who has no flash. Razork, it's Blabber who's having to walk away from it now. Razork, he goes for a bad flag, and C9 gets first blood of the Fnatic jungle.
There's the counter gank that Blabber was looking for. Razork was a bit unsure which target to look for. Upset's fighting back against Berserker.
Upset wants to go, but C9 wants him to go home. Hillesong and Upset now having to walk off that one. Upset using the flash there, not getting a whole lot back for it.
First blood goes over to Sven. Blabber's not done just yet. Upset no sums. He's going to look for the pillar here.
Nope, won't be able to get there in time. Fnatic are back underneath the turret. But for C9, for this game, for this draft, for this group, that's a nice start.
Crowd is erupting after that first blood. The early bot side 3v3 goes in favor of C9. Fudge might find Humanoid here, but I don't think there's much to be done as Jensen is on the bot side of mid. But really good awareness from Blabber. The wave's pushing out. Let's cover it. Razork here a little bit questionable. He thinks I'm going to run past the Trundle here and look for Jinx, but then by the time he realizes she's too far, he misses his combo onto Blabber, flashes over the pillar, but then Blabber matches the flash. Of course, PTA Trundle early can do a lot of damage. Yeah, a bit of a blunder there from Razork, but great punish by C9.
C9 getting it done in what honestly looked like it could have gone either way, with both junglers posturing around, sort of daring the other team to do something. But now, Fnatic, they're sitting at about a 1,000 gold deficit 7 minutes into the game here. Solo laners are now at the point where they all have their ultimates, but teleports are down. Humanoid going to force Jensen back here a little bit as that wave keeps pushing forward. Humanoid will be in control of that. Jensen's going to need a recall here. Razork back up in the top river looking for the Scuttle Crab. Blabber's nearby, but Trundle takes a while on these multi-minion camps, so those chickens aren't going to be cleared away in any sort of efficient manner. Razork has this crab for free, and Fudge is pushed up pretty far in the top lane, but probably not going to get caught overextending here.
I think the beauty for C9 right now is their bot lane sums are back up by 8 minutes, but upsets won't be. So contesting Herald becomes a little bit more complicated for Fnatic. Berserker can stack this bot wave, crash it, run up river as Blabber gets 6 and starts the Herald, and I think they've got a pretty easy play to look for that early objective. Razork still a little bit far away from 6, needs to clear out his top camps, but we'll see how C9 moves around the map because Blabber is on this top side. He might blast cone over there, yeah he does, and he sees the crab ward, so he's going to start up this Herald. So Early objective looks like it'll be free for C9. No, he actually decides to back away. He gets spotted on vision though, so he has just pulled it out instead. Jensen can hover, Fudge is pushing out top, and will Razor contest? He is actually level 6 to Blabber's level 5.
Yeah, the level 6 advantage for Razor here could be a big problem for the Cloud9 jungler. And he did spin his flash in that bottom lane kill, so it's understandable. You've got Hillsong having the ulti here on the Soraka. That's something that's gonna matter a lot. Or an ulti goes through. Razor gets the heal. Blabber's gonna survive. Razor dies again. Humanoid dies after. Double kill back over to Jensen. Cloud9 come to life.
They get the Herald, they get 2 kills onto Jensen. Fnatic took the 3v3 with a Soraka ult and they lost. They all focused on Blabber, but they could not get the initial kill. And now we're sitting 9 minutes in the game. C9 off to a very strong early lead.
Huge advantage there for C9. The Soraka ulti, Fnatic thought that's their ace up the sleeve, but it did not do enough.
So Blabber is actually level 5 when this play kicks off. They go instantly onto Razor and try to get him down, but Blabber gets the Herald and levels up, and the Trundle passive heals him up so much that he then ults Wonder as well, so he gets so much resistances and health back into this Trundle, so that he actually does not fall.
That is so important. The King's Tribute on Trundle. When you're just killing monsters in the jungle, or even a champion that doesn't have a lot of health, you see a little bit of HP come back. But the Herald is so tanky. The HP value is so high. That heal is just incredible. And for C9, the timing couldn't have been better. Now for Fnatic, they've got to find their footing here in this game. They've slipped up a couple of times. Cloud9's got the better of them in these couple of skirmishes they've had. So they got to stabilize before this really starts running away from them.
C9 getting the flowers buff right now. Lands in New York, and NA's already off to a good start.
We're in there, baby. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. So Dragon's still up, and C9 have this Herald. Fudge has the top push, and this is what we expected from top lane, moving from top to mid to try to threaten the Victor so Jensen can get a free push, and then he can be the first one to Dragon. So C9 should be able to pick this one up uncontested as Razork's on the top side. The question right now is, where will C9 place this Herald? I think they have really good options in mid and bot. It's just a case of how much value can they get out of either one.
And maximizing that value with a lead, very, very important for being able to see this one through. Jensen dropping the shockwave on Humanoid here in mid. Razork was coming in for a punish, but Blabber has been doing a great job of being there to counter gank when Razork wants to make a move.
Oh yeah, definitely. Blabber has been reading Razork right now, and I think it's just a case of Razork has options. Blabber knows what options he has, so he will match him on the play to stop him from finding those windows. And Jensen using the shockwave there as a kind of poke tool. He doesn't really have kill pressure, but forcing Humanoid out of lane, so he can get it on the minimap a stage like this where he can just push out mid, take a free base himself, deny a couple creeps. This is the ideal situation for the Orianna in this control mage matchup because you naturally outrange the Victor. Fudge hiding on the alcove here. Wonder no flash, and Blabber is around.
Well, Blabber walks over one of those saplings, but Fudge is ready to come in. Blabber has flash to get in range. Subjugate is down. Chop, chop, chop. They're going lumberjacking, and Blabber gets another.
4-0 here, 11 minutes in. Blabber was contemplating a Herald drop there, but not a lot of value to give over to your tanks. Really wants to focus on his carries, so top jungle's gonna base. Really good punish there from Fudge to hide in the alcove as Wonder steps up to the wave with no flash. Good comms from the top jungle. Kind of quite quiet in these early stages. We'll see if they can bounce back in the team fights in around 3 or 4 minutes when these neutrals spawn, but it's a lot of ults trading in mid to poke each other out, and Blabber's Herald will run out soon, so I expect him to run towards his bot side with Berserker coming out of base to help him get his early mythic.
Sven down here seeing Fnatic crash this wave into the tier 1 turret. Can't do a whole lot about it. Like you're talking about these mythics, getting that power point is going to be huge. Sven just harassing him as much as he can. Hilly's trying to make sure that Upset can complete the back air.
So Wonder didn't run top, he's run mid. He's actually thinking that Blabber's going to Herald mid here, so he's hovering around. So I think that's why Blabber is now coming towards his bot side. Herald about to take over. Humanoids, he's taking around the Raptors, or he's thinking about hovering towards his bot side. C9 probably looking for 2 plates here and then backing away. They'll never really get the full tower because Fnatic's here to match.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a gold injection into the Jinx never hurts.
Yeah, and they force down that first plate, nearly getting the second before the Herald charges. So priming that up, getting more than just the 2 plates of guaranteed value. I think if you're C9, you're happy with that Herald usage. Also makes it so they have an easier time breaking that turret away once the plates fall here in about a minute and a half. As we go back to mid lane, you can see Jensen still got control there. He seems confident in this 1v1 against Humanoid.
And as expected, right, the mid bot was what we talked about from draft, but if you look at the minimap, the amount of vision that Blabber's just put down alongside Sven to just deny any kind of windows from Razork just helps out so much in C9 contesting the bot push. Now Berserker's got that Kraken Slayer from the Herald, and Jensen can lean to one side. The way mid lane works is if you lean to one side of vision, it's really hard for Razork to actually gap close and get on top of you because he always knows that Razork will be top side. Might have to be careful here though, because Razork's being a little bit cheeky.
Jensen getting the shockwave on Humanoid, but now he's got to be careful. Razork making his way in, goes Super Mega Death Rocket Berserker finishes what Jensen started.
Snipes out Humanoid. Razork manages to take down Jensen in a 1-4-1, but kill over to the Jinx, Herald over to the Jinx. Upset quite far behind in gold right now in the AD carry mirror, and C9 managed to pull it off. Looked a little bit dicey. Jensen overextending, but Berserker helps him out.
And as we've been talking about Berserker, we've been talking about this bottom lane. The tanks are just gonna knock each other around here a little bit. But I wanna go back to what you said when we saw the very first part of this draft. Cloud9 is not playing a Jax, they're not playing a Fiora, they're not playing something that demands this attention on the top side. And really, that change in the draft phase is what's let them play around this bottom part of the map and make these plays they've been having.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this one again because Jensen using the ult here to poke out Humanoid. Of course, the range advantage so much in the Uranus favor. So Razork runs around here, takes a tower shot there, Jensen, but Humanoid thinks, well, my job here is done. Jensen is dead, but it's the rocket here that Humanoid decides to take a recall on and just gets hit right at the top of his head, gets taken out. And you just highlighted it there, Flowers. C9 was playing carry tops, and you can often see their games at the group stage where Blabber's always hovering around Fudge. Now we're seeing him play towards the bot side, leaving Fudge in isolation. Berserker's over 1,500 gold up on Upset, so when it comes to these team fights, the Jinx being ahead always means that she can burn through the front line faster. Right now, C9 taking the Herald. Fnatic can't really find a cross map, a little bit of chunk on that bot tier 1.
But if you're Fnatic, you still have Upset on a hyper-scaling AD carry. This guy has been a pretty standout performer so far, had some incredible performances. So if you're Cloud9, you can't get overconfident. You can't get too excited, too hyped just yet. They gotta keep things going, keep this pacing up. That pacing is gonna continue with the second Herald summoned up in the top side, the turret forced down. 15 minutes into the game, Cloud9 is going to find first turret. And you know what, Pedro? The sad fact of us, North America as a region, not taking a tier 2 turret in all of week 1 groups, Cloud9, I believe, will surely be able to break that here in this game because they are doing beautifully so far. Jensen getting dunked. Razork keeping him locked down. Sven comes in. Jensen gets killed, and it's Humanoid getting paid.
Carries of C9 need to be very careful. They're extremely strong, but they don't have many defensive tools, especially Jensen without the flash, and that's a Jarvan Cataclysm into a Victor ult. There's no way for you to survive it. Now Fnatic thinking about collapsing onto this Dragon. They're lacking a couple of ultimates, but it is a numbers advantage. Actually, Upsets towards the top side, so it might just be a 4v4 down here.
Yeah, 4v4 with those ultis spent like you're talking about means Fnatic knows Cloud9 is going to get this objective. So it is a trade of mid laner for Drake. Cloud9 taking the Drake in that one. Upset's got free firing time in top. Hilly wants to get away. Flash will escape the pillar, and C9 will get a summoner spell from the Fnatic support.
Jensen defends the top tower, TP's up there. C9 contests his mid-wave. Upset's probably just going to push out top here and take a base. Still 16 minutes in, he hasn't got his mythic, but he probably has a lot of gold in his inventory. No neutral objectives now for the next 3 minutes. It's just going to be a vision game, but Fnatic yet to crack a tower here. And when you get that tower down, you can push waves in deeper, get deeper vision, and it just allows you to play the map a lot easier. It's just a case of whether Fnatic can find that. Both side towers are extremely low, but Upset's going to take his recall. First mythic's coming in.
Yup, we've got that Gale Force for the Aphelios. I love this choice on the champion, especially considering the lack of mobility in the kit. It gives him outplay potential, gives him execute potential. Aphelios with Gale Force is the Chad Aphelios build, and I'm always happy to see it. So Upset having that extra little bit of playmaking could be very important here. Honestly, Mythics on the board just across there for everybody except Hylissang Soraka. has not been able to quite find enough money for that one just yet. But where are we expecting the next bit of action to be? Is it just going to be a nice slow game like you've been talking about so far until the objectives, or do you think they're gonna keep trying to push this for C9?
Well, whoever gets mid push can start to accelerate the game. This is what happens. C9 pushes in mid with their bot lane, moves into the bot side jungle, puts down wards, threatens a dive onto Wunder, and then Fnatic have to cover. But it's very hard to cover because your bot lane has to catch the mid wave and Humanoid's top, so C9 will get this bot tier 1 very easily. That's just called a very simple shift from mid to bot. Happy days. Now the question is, can Fnatic cross-map it? That top tower is extremely low, so they'll be able to answer pretty easily, but C9 can play on 2 lanes. So they've gone from mid to bot, and now they'll go through mid to hit this tower, and they can pick this one up as well, unless Humanoid decides to TP behind them.
Well, C9 are just straight going for it. Hillsong is stuck. The traffic cone blocks the road, and C9 get the mid lane turret and the support as the cherry on top.
Hilly getting caught there, no flash from earlier like you highlighted. C9 just kind of walk up to Hillsong and say, hang on a second, what is this guy doing? Is he flanking on Soraka? What's his goal here? Razork might be in a little bit of trouble.
Getting jumped on there by Fudge, manages to get away with the EQ, does not have to spend a flash. Very, very important there.
So all outer towers are down here for Fnatic. C9 have picked them all up so they can push in waves deeper and get deeper vision. Now the question is, can they play for tier 2s? And I think it'll be quite difficult given the amount of wave care that Fnatic have. Now it's just an option of fighting over neutral objectives. 2 minutes, 30 seconds on that Cloud Dragon will put C9 on sole point. They've picked up the first 2 dragons of the game. And Fnatic just looking to put a little bit of shallow vision, try to contest the river on C9's bases, and try to find angles and windows into these objective fights. Front to back right now favoring C9 because of the gold lead, of course, and the 2-item Jinx.
And I really like this second item that just came online here for Fudge, the Thorn Mail. One of the problems with the Bramble Vest is it's a Grievous Wounds item that your opponent has to opt in to taking the Grievous Wounds. They have to hit you. But the Thorn Mail allows him to apply it, and they're going to be needing to apply it to kill through this Soraka. Hillsong gets away as Razork provides cover. He throws down the Terrain of Cataclysm so C9 cannot chase. But Fnatic, now without that Jarvan ulti, that's a tool that C9 doesn't have to respect for the next 60 seconds.
Yeah, C9 now moving into this topside jungle, see if they can get a little bit of vision down. Baron's up in 20 seconds. Not sure if C9 can start it up on the spot. The Jinx is rather fast, but I think Fnatic can find an avenue into contested. It's quite early on, but Razork
getting jumped on now. He tries to get away. That cancel was beautiful. 20-minute Barons are tough, Cadril, but when the enemy jungler's dead, they become a little easier.
Oh, they definitely do. Now C9 will start this up. They'll TP in with Fudge. This Baron is as good as gone. Fnatic can try to fight this 4v5, but they might be running into their own death here. Jensen's quite low on mana and has no ultimate. The Baron will die. Can C9 get out?
Jensen does have the blue buff stolen away from Fnatic. Blabber's left to the Baron. It is secured by C9, and Upset is going to get jumped on. Blabber beats him over the head with the club as Fudge tanks 3. Upset still getting away. Fudge should die here to Fnatic as Upset gets out. Jensen protecting the tank. Wunder continues forward and flashes back out. C9 regrouped as 5 in hot pursuit. Fudge leads the way, and C9 gets another.
They get the Baron, they get out, and they get a kill as a consolation prize as well. C9, after that pick, execute it perfectly. They stay together, they manage to get Upset summoners as well, and this all comes off the back of this pick. So the polymorph onto Razork, watch this shockwave. Jensen just pulls the trigger the second he sees the combo, pulls Razork back in. Even if he flashes there, C9 can gap close and get the kill. The start of the Baron happens. Fnatic a little bit split here. Hillsong ideally would want to be with Upset, but Upset's next to Wunder. C9 force Humanoid out, they finish the Baron, then they turn.
One of my favorite things to do in a game of League of Legends is look at the smallest thing, the individual button push that made the biggest difference. And that shockwave from Jensen was just massive. Fudge also playing this beautifully, knowing exactly what his limits are.
He is so damn tanky, isn't it? And C9 force out Upset's flash, then they come back to help out their top laner. Wunder does a good job here to avoid the knockup, but there's just no damage to help him out. As much as Hillsong can keep him alive, he's out of mana, and he's out of position. C9 now. Will this be the first tier 2 tower for NA at Worlds? They're going to start hitting it on, and Fnatic have no way to defend it. C9!
Die, you stupid turret! Die, die, die!
First tier 2 picked up. Now they're sieging the tier 3. Fudge is pushing in mid up against Humanoid. Blabber
is just charging in. They are trying to hard force this. this. The turret stays alive. C9 have gone a little bit too far, but Fnatic will only get the one kill back on the jungler. Fudge fires off a big ulti as Hilly tries to get away and barely lives himself. C9 have leveled the playing field 4v4.
No flash.
Upset has no flash. He has no way out. And now Fnatic have no AD carry.
They're going to get this bot in it 22 minutes into the game. 20 seconds on Wonder, 30 seconds on Upset. They have a small wave to look for the end. We'll see if Humanoid can clear it out, but C9 looking for the Nexus towers.
C9 are bloodthirsty. It is 23 minutes into the game. Berserker will die underneath the turret, and C9 has to back up. Jensen nearly out of mana. Sven and Fudge very low on HP.
TP.
The game will not end here, but a TP from Wonder may cut them off. The Maokai ulti is not ready. Cloud9 still trying to get away from this one. The goal is to exfiltrate with as few losses as possible. Sven the target here at the start.
Blabber's back.
Blabber's coming around trying to help him. Wonder leads the way, but the subjugate on the tree is gonna make him a little squishier. Razork tries to fall back as Wonder continues distracting, but Blabber's still chasing. Fudge bellows breath, takes Hilly out finally as he tries to get back away from Razork, who just goes straight to his death. Here comes Humanoid. There goes Humanoid. Another rocket from another state away.
C9 stands strong and the reinforcements come in just in time. Does Jensen tick down with the Leandries? No, he lives. Only Sven falls. Blabber fell initially and Berserker fell too. The reinforcements from both sides came in, but C9 win the fight. They get 4 kills on the back half of that play. And with Dragon up in 2 minutes, they're going to set up on this bot side. They didn't get a Nexus tower, but they're on Soul Point. This was a hell of a long fight, and it all started with Wunder coming around on the flank, looking for Sven, of course, as the initial pick, because he's quite low on HP. Razor can't really gap close with the EQ, and by the time he looks for it, Blabber has shown up. Look on the minimap, because Upset's on the way, Berserker's still dead, and then Humanoid will TP in a little bit later on. It looks good initially for Fnatic with the first kill onto the Lulu, but Wunder, he just can't get any help here. Great turn by Fudge to kill Hylissang and shut down Razork.
Where was this Cloud9 team the past week? This does not even look like the same squad. They have been playing beautifully as a team, setting these up, finding these timings, working together and communicating. Holy cow, they are turning on now when they absolutely must.
This comp is just, as much as it might not be something they ran so much in playoffs, more so like carry-oriented top sides, and with the hyper-carry spot like Zeri and Sivir, Jinx fits that.
Yeah.
She fits that kind of concept. And C9 with just scaling teamfights seem to all be on the same page. It's much easier to execute a comp like this than playing carries top and having Blabber hover for a Furor Jax, getting your side lane ahead, playing from side to mid. This is just raw teamfight, group mid and engage, and C9 are loving it.
Well, they still have to end the game, my friend. They can't celebrate until that Nexus falls. Tier 2 turret, all 3 of them are now nothing but rubble. C9 backing away. The Baron will spawn in about 30 seconds. They know that they can go for a recall, group up, force that objective, and Fnatic either has to take the fight in open ground or sit back and wait for the inevitable bulldozer coming to their base.
Over a 10,000 gold lead right now for C9. You can see the item difference. I mean, Jensen just picked up a Rabadon's death cap. Fudge, top damage on C9 right now.
Yeah.
The Aura base damage is through the roof.
The classic AP mage tank hybrid assassin,
Bruiser,
DPS
Bard,
frontliner,
Sorcerer,
bruiser,
assassin.
sorcerer, cleric, druid.
Yeah,
of
Paladin.
Ornn.
The whole thing.
He's just incredible. He does it all. Get Ornn for your next team comp today as C9. They set up vision, they sweep away Fnatic's wards, and they'll have control over the Baron pit.
I think after this mid wave here, C9 can push this mid wave in, stop Fnatic from getting it in, and then just look for a Baron start and look to turn. But with 10 seconds on the Dragon, the easier play is just to walk towards this bot side.
Oh, they're not going to interrupt the EQ from Jarvan this time. They end up knocking him up just a little bit too early before the Dragoon Strike connects with the flag, and that means he's getting away. But C9 are getting their way onto the Baron. Fnatic are not coming to contest. They're just going to stop the Soul instead. So a single Cloud Drake traded away for a Baron. You'll take that trade any day of the week.
Yeah, C9 playing it a little bit safe here. The Rocket connects, but the Dragon Dragon will not fall. Objective bounding over to Fnatic. I think they'll lose a Nexus Tower here. Fudge is TPing into the base. He recognizes that their base timers are skewed. How much can he get done here?
Fudge is alone. Nobody else is close enough just yet. Now he's finally back to the rest of the team. They're pushing down top side here with the Baron. They'll take out the tier 3. Now they're ready to fight. Razor goes into the back. He's got 2 locked down, but Humanoid's already gone. Jensen, unstoppable. Cloud9 finding the fight they need to end the game, and Razor will fall second. Wonder will do nothing, and C9 are going to find the first win of the group stage for North America.
They've done it! They've only gone and done it better late than never!
C9 show up in week 2, and they will find the win against Fnatic.
Oh, C9's going to have a long day ahead of them. If they lost this one, they were out, but now they've got 2 games left ahead of them. If they can clean sweep a 3-0, then they might be able to force a tiebreaker. And on the opposite side here for Fnatic, they're now sitting at 2-2. T1 and EDG are at 2-1, so this hurts Fnatic a little bit in the sense that next game, they really got to beat T1. Where even if they lose that, they really got to beat EDG to get to that 3-win sweet spot.
The pressure is on for both teams now. As Cloud9, they've got to be feeling relief. They've got to be feeling glad that they found something that worked this well. The first week was so rough. And for all the North American fans here in the audience, that is not just the start that you wanted. That's the start that was demanded for them to have it.